don't know why is if you take away the fact that it ended early,
Hmm.
you take away from the fact of what is known politically speaking from a backstage perspective. Why was it a bad pay-per-view? The matches were good.
It's probably the
Uh,
hardcore ECW fans who wanted it to be something it was never going to be.
you take that pay-per-view and put it up against any of the 3 hours Raw in recent memory, it's probably more watchable, you know. So with the exception of some, so it was a bad pay-per-view um, internally because of the buy rate. It was a bad pay-per-view, or not the best pay-per-view because of the infighting that was taking place.
Mm,
Uh, when Paul Heyman has a view and it's constantly being shut down, and you say you're am I going to be in control or you? So if so it's one of those things where it was just a power struggle going on, and it was during that time that Paul was in the midst of his CM Punk push, strapping a rocket to CM Punk. He was determined, and they weren't sold on CM Punk yet, and so a lot of stuff was being rewritten, and it was a mess in that regard. But as far as what I knew and what I saw, I mean, it was what it was for me. I was on my first pay-per-view and I had no idea I was going to be on it until before it started.
wow, really? So you were called to the building beforehand and you're just there to enjoy the show in general and suddenly you put on the card?
You're at a lot of shows. You're brought to a lot of shows, even if you're not used. That show was at the same building in what in I don't want to say Cobb County, but Georgia,
Hmm.
uh, the Savannah, not Savannah, maybe Savannah, but somewhere around there, same place where James Brown got buried when they held his memorial, I should say. It was in that same building, and yeah, I remember. Hey guys, you're on. What? Yeah, go get your outfit. What? So okay. I think the outfits that we wore that night, we went and bought that they went and bought and just brought it to see if you can wear this. Like it was the same day, I believe. So
Wow. And again, I think this pay-per-view obviously gets a lot of backlash because of the ramifications, what happened after, not what happened during. And everyone, again, read through the lines being, oh, well, clearly ECW has a feeling. It's supposed to have this feeling. So CM Punk encapsulates that feeling. Bobby Lashley, who won the world title that night, did not, and everyone's favorites lost in that chamber match early on. So there was a lot of, wait, why is this happening? Why is this happening? This is clearly not the vision that people had. Plus, you had Survivor Series like a week or two before that, and then you had another December pay-per-view also. So the buy rate itself, it's hard to sell when you're back in half, and Survivor Series, December to
it was
December,
like 2 weeks.
it's
Yeah,
Christmas time, holiday
yeah.
time, and you're getting a December pay-per-view from the WWE as well. So I can see that being a problem, but the ramifications for you, obviously, you just said, your first big pay-per-view. So for you have a whole different feeling when you went to this event than what the fans and the audience have a perception of what actually happened. So
I would say I wouldn't say a totally different feeling because I'm there, but I'm still a fan of the product, right?
of course,
I still gotta watch it too. I gotta partake in it too. It's just that it wasn't. Again, would this feeling of sorts that you're referencing that the fans had in regards to the December to Dismember pay per view, would this feeling be if it did a 250 buy rate? If
right.
it if it did a 250,000 buy rate, would the fans or historians up until this point be talking about it as negative?
No,
You know, probably not.
no,
So, but because it had what was it, a 26,000?
it was
I
not
don't know.
good. It
It
was not
wasn't
good.
good. It
I don't
wasn't
have the
good.
numbers in front of me, but it was not good.
Well, yes, I was hired. They hired me back and said that I was going to come out and start, and then Kevin Thorne and Ariel were going to join me. And they hired me, and I said, okay, cool. I went home and watched the TV, and then I seen Kevin Thorne come out, and I go, oh, so I called, answer. And then about, I don't know, 6 months later, I get a call saying, hey, you know, it never really worked out, the Kevin thing and this and that. So we're going to let you go. So that's all that happened there. But it was supposed to be me, and they were going to come in, but they used Kevin first for whatever reason, and it just didn't work out. So
you got paid for 6 months to sit at home?
I did, yes. And 8 months the time prior to that.
So in reality, you must think not being on TV, but you're being paid.
They hired me back and said, hey, you're going to tag with Viscera. You guys going to be a tag team. And I never heard from them again. And then they let me go. And then like a couple months later, they hired me back again to do ECW. And I never heard from them. 6 months later, 7 months later, whatever it is, they let me go.
Cashing those checks.
But to me, it bothered me, though, because I was getting paid. And that's great and everything. But I wanted to wrestle. I just love wrestling. So, yeah, I was busy in Europe doing things and stuff like that. So I just went right back to Europe and or running a school somewhere. So I always land on my feet and been very blessed with wrestling in my life and able to do it. So I'm super happy guy on my journey, man.
How did you come into ECW? Did you know Paul Heyman before in your WCW days?
No, never met him. How that came about was 3 years with WCW, and I used to watch ECW. A lot of us did, myself and Disco and Chris Canyon, and we used to watch ECW at midnights, like on the Sunshine Network.
Oh, yeah.
And just like, man, these guys are insane. We'd never worked there, you know what I mean? And then lo and behold, I ended up there. And the way that happened was I just kind of finished up with WCW. There wasn't much more for me to do there. The NWO was so overpowering. And then underneath that, you had Benoit and Guerrero and Malenko and all those guys. It was really hard for a guy like me to get to the next level. So, and I was still pretty young. So I was wanted to go to the WWF. And then through my friendship with Raven, I had gotten a tryout with ECW. And I didn't know how that was going to go because at that time, I didn't think that my style would, I was a WCW wrestler, want to be WWF wrestler, and ECW was just all the way to the left. It was completely, but the first time I went in there and the way the crowd reacted to me, like I was a somebody, they knew who I was, they knew where I was from. And at that time, WCW, they were the bad guys, they were the corporate, you know what I mean? So I had an instant reaction there, which was more than I had ever gotten at that point. So it really, it started really fast there for me. And I had a really good year there with Simon Diamond, who's a great friend of mine to this day. And we just had a great run. And me and Dreamer always talk about it. And Rhino, like, man, if ECW would have kept going, I think that, I probably would have moved up even further there if we had more time with that. So it was a great place to be. It was a full-time company. We wrestled every week. National TV and house shows and all that. It was a great training ground for the big time, which is what we were all going for back then.
Yeah, ECW was a different brand, especially because suddenly I think it was like the People's Federation, because we had WCW owned by Ted Turner. You had the WWF, who's been in power for years because of the Hulkamania run and all that good stuff. But ECW, it felt like it was ours. Like, oh, this is ours. We're yay. And everything was going great. Magazines, action figures. But then suddenly the bottom falls out and ECW closes. And I've talked to Rob Van Dam and other superstars before, and there's this book. I won't mention it because in the back it tells you what Paul Heyman or ECW owed to these wrestlers. Were you owed money at the end of ECW?
Man, I've been asked that question a lot. And to be honest, no, I am not owed any money in compensation because I was paid so little. But no, that is the truth. I was not on a high paying deal there. And that's not what I was there for. I was there to increase my visibility, increase my equity, so to speak. To be attractive, to go back to WCW or to the WWF in a higher position. But while I was there, I got to learn a lot as far as you sink or swim with those people in Philadelphia, man. If you don't have what it takes, they won't make a peep and you'll be done. You know what I mean? So you really had to earn your stripes with that. And it was quite the eye opener and experience for me. And, I'm grateful that I got that chance because you can't get it anymore. You just can't go there. Guys can't go there to get that kind of experience. And it was invaluable. It really was.
Yeah, I remember you guys with you, Simon Diamond, and W Anderson.
Right.
That guy, I love that group in ECW. When you started ECW, what was in your brain the concept? Because it wasn't Extreme Wrestling at first. It was Eastern Championship Wrestling with Shane Douglas throwing down the championship of the NWA. That history has been told. But what was your guiding light to think, I want to do this?
Because the guys came up to me after Joel Goodhart went under and said, please, just keep this going. Just let's do a bar show once a month. Keep it going. You know what I'm saying? Get a license for us and blah, blah, blah. And we did. To me, it was fun. It was a hobby once a month, 80 people, 100 people in the audience. There's nothing to get excited about. Then we did the pilot. So I came up to our videographer who said, I really need TV. Started a new channel called Sports Channel Philadelphia. And the Flyers, the Sixers, the Phillies, but no programming. It was just starting. He goes, can you get me any programming? I goes, I'm taking video for a wrestling company. He goes, can you get a pilot? He goes, can we get a pilot? I went, sure, we can get a pilot. What? So naturally, we did. We got a pilot. And we got the gig every Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, Philadelphia. Well, now I got to put a TV show together. So I'm trying to think, what do I really want here? What kind of show what do I want to do? I mean, my whole philosophy since day one has been, I want to put on shows that I would want to see. Because I couldn't stand what I was watching on TV. It was a cartoon. Everybody was a cartoon character. It ruined what I had grown up loving and just like living for. And it's like so depressing. So I got Eddie Gilbert to become my booker. I was going to try to bring up the hardcore Memphis style. The Moondogs every week were on TV smashing people with the trash cans and this, and that's what I wanted to start with. That's was my beginning point. I just wanted something a little more hardcore. There was nothing hardcore at all anywhere. I mean, when I say hardcore, I mean believable. When I grew up, I watched Bruno and Killer Kowalski and Gorilla Monster, and it was believable. I was like, oh my god, I wonder what happened last Saturday night at the arena. I had to wait till the next show to find out whether Bruno won or not or lost the title because it was believable.
Yeah,
I wanted to do the same thing, and more so as time went on. But from the beginning with Eddie, I wanted to be violent. I wanted to be hardcore. I wanted to be blood and guts, and there was a big audience for it. I didn't know how big. Believe me, I didn't know how big. That came to astound me. But that was my goal originally, just to have a more Memphis style product.
Now, Sean, did you watch ECW when you were a whippersnapper?
I did. I was fortunate enough to be in the New York television market, so we benefited from Todd's brutal MSG deal where he began to spring leaks in the boat, but I got to see it. And, I was in college, I guess. Yeah. And, being a product of the Northeast wrestling like Todd, I too watched Bruno and Backlund and Superstar Graham and then Hogan and the very much entertainment era, which was fine because I was 12, Hogan and Piper and great. But when you're 20 and this product is now pig farmers and hockey players and Isaac Yankem, the dentist.
Yeah.
And, parallel to that in regular mainstream entertainment, you've got grunge music and Nirvana and Soundgarden, and things are getting darker in the movies. The Tarantino, the bad guys are cool now. The WWE product did not hold up to anyone my age. Then my friend shows me this crazy thing that's on at midnight on MSG Network. And for a moment, I'm willing to suspend disbelief because I didn't really have to, because a garbage can's a garbage can and a table's a table and I know basic physics. So it wasn't hard for me to suspend that. And the thing that was so attractive to me beyond the action in the ring, honestly, was they were talking to us, the smart fans.
Yeah.
I say smart not as a testament to my intelligence, but to the fact that I read dirt sheets. That's what I mean. Anyone who doesn't know wrestling, that's what made me smart, that I knew what was going on in the business. And they would do creative shit and swerve us. And we would turn to each other and go, holy shit. They knew exactly what we were thinking. That was all I needed. The stuff in the ring was a bonus for me. I knew the guys running this company knew me as a wrestling fan because, Todd's considerably older, but he was me. He was frustrated by what was lost in the product he loved as a kid.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I really do believe that my being a fan made that product was what it was. I hated certain things. I hated stipulations that didn't happen. I hated when someone lost their mask and pulled it off and had another mask on underneath it. I hated stripping matches where, somebody came out with a towel or a jacket where the girl's top came off. I hated tag team must break up forever. And like 6 months later, they're working together on TV. That insulted my intelligence. I decided I want to do something that doesn't insult people's intelligence. If I say we're going to have this match where losing tag team never tags again, well, guess what? Ian and Axel Rotten, a tag team for 15 years, never tagged again. Because that was the stipulation. Super Destroyers, early on, got a miss. He got a miss. Angel Amoroso, topless in the ring. We said it was going to be that kind of. So we delivered on every stipulation. And the fans appreciated it. They finally said, oh my God, we're not being like yanked around here. They're like, we're getting what we've always wanted. It was like this hardcore things that they're promising, but now we're getting it. They're delivering on it instead of like, bait and switch. And that's what I was, that was like my philosophy. Our first big show, Abdul the Butcher, Kevin Sullivan, Terry Funk, and Stan Hansen in the main event. I wanted to see that. So I knew my fans wanted to see that because we were simpatico. We were always simpatico with the audience, by the way, but I'm just saying that's exactly how it worked.
Yeah, there was so much happening in the early days too, because I feel like some people only know like Barely Legal 97, the first pay-per-view for ECW on. They don't know what was going on before that because there was no pay-per-view, there was no distribution of DVDs, VHS tapes to show you, this event happened with Sabu and Rob Van Dam and, people like that. So obviously the distribution was a huge deal for you. So was that how you got your product out to more eyeballs? Was we need these VHS tapes, we need these DVDs, we need the magazines to cover us, because without that, we're on these random channels all the time. We don't have an exact channel on an exact date every time.
Exactly right. And, all of our commercials, were ECW commercials. So we weren't selling advertising. Part of that was we didn't have an advertising team. We had me, like sitting there talking to all the wrestlers, talking to the lighting guy, talking to the sound guy, setting up, the next town, but getting a building. I also was running a business that was supporting this, so it's like I didn't have time to get out there hitting the advertising company. It was hard. It was a lot to be done. And, we're like a one mom and pop ship, and for a while just a pop ship. So that was hard.
So you were the jealous boyfriend of Kelly Kelly. That's who you were.
I was so jealous.
So jealous of her strip teasing on Sci-Fi. Whose idea is go, hey, I want to introduce you, but I also want to introduce you as the jealous boyfriend of Kelly Kelly.
Yeah, bro. I wanted to get up to TV so bad. They could have told me anything. You know what I mean? Like I was sitting there, I was so ready. I was like, no matter what you throw at me, Daddy, I'm ready. Like, all right, you're the jealous boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. So it was like, towel, boo. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, okay, ECW, mother effers. You know what I mean? I'm going to get to show everybody how crazy I am. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I want. This is how I'm going to freaking make my mark. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know. I'm nuts. You know what I mean? Like, so I get there, of course, like, and it's like
Yeah.
nothing. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, I mean, shoot, man, everybody worked hard.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody worked hard. But the way it was presented, the way like it just fans knew, man. They knew within 2 episodes that it wasn't what they were expecting to tune into. It's like just like wrestling, you know what I mean? It's like they didn't have, you know, you come in there and like all of a sudden you have all these rules, like can't do this, can't do that, can't do this, can't do that,
Right.
can't do this.
It's like
You
what
know,
is
like,
what does the E stand for in ECW?
yeah,
Entertainment. It's not entertainment. It's
we
extreme.
can do a table. Like, yeah, we can do a table, but we can't do anything to the head. We can't have no blood, but we can do that. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it was like such a watered down, like slap in the face to like the hardcore fans at that point. Like there was no recovering from that, man. It didn't matter what they were gonna do. You know, like it was screwed from Jump Street, man. As soon as that freaking mummy guy came out,
That was like the first thing I think we saw was the
What
zombie
the
on the first
hell?
episode. And when you first see that, you're like, oh, I get it. Sci-Fi
Oh.
Channel,
Oh, they're making
zombies.
fun of
Oh,
us.
okay, it's a
Like-
joke. I get it. All right. And then you're like, wait, they're not giving up on this. Like there's more to this. But
Yeah.
I have heard many times that Paul Heyman was a huge supporter of you. Is that true?
Very.
Okay.
Yeah, man. He was very instrumental. He was one of the guys, like him and Dusty they were both on my side, you know, going through like Deep South and all that. Like, I don't know what he saw in me instantly or what, but yeah, Paul was always a huge supporter of me. Huge. You know, and then whenever I went up to ECW, they kind of took it out of his hands anyway. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
I was very grateful
Right.
to be up there. You know what I mean? But would I wish it could have been a little bit different? Yes. You know, of course. You know, but whatever you got to do to get your ass on that TV. You know what I mean? Like, especially after like I've been busting my butt for 10 years before I even got a deal. And then I was in Deep South for another year and a couple, whatever, 2 years. I can't remember. It all molds together, you know? So it was like, time to go, baby. I'm about to live my dream. Get up to TV, and then it's like, but hey,
No one
man,
ever told you what dream you live. They're like, oh, you're gonna get here, but we didn't tell you how your dream was gonna
somebody
play
else's
out.
dream. That's somebody else's dream, brother. Whatever.
I know. I felt like you brought up the Shackles because it was like, oh, cool, we're having Survivor Series 2006. That's your pay-per-view debut, and I'm like, oh, ECW teams and WWE
My
and
proudest
SmackDown and
moment.
Raw. I'm like, this is awesome, cool.
Yep.
You get super kicked her out in 1 second. And Shawn Michaels even makes jokes like, wait, who was that? Was he in the match? Was he supposed to be here?
Oh,
and I'm sitting
bro.
there watching TV going, what are they doing? If you're trying to get me to watch ECW, burying people instantly like that ain't helping. It is
How you
not
think
helping.
I felt, dog? How you think I felt?
I bet you
I was
didn't
like,
feel.
I was sitting there. I was like, man. I was like, sweet. I know nobody's watching ECW, but they got me on this thing. They're gonna let me run a minute. You know what I mean? Like, and it was like Michael Hayes came down, like he was one of the agents or whatever. And he's like, oh, you know, you're gonna lose. You know, you're gonna lose first. He's like, do you want to like wrestle for 3 minutes and be completely forgotten, or do you want a moment? And I was like, shit, I want a moment. He's like, all right, he's gonna kick you before the bell rings. 1, 2, 3, you're out of there. I was like, oh shit, that's not the moment I wanted. So it's like, I don't know, man. It was like after that, the wind was out of my sails. You know what I mean? Like I handled like putting Sandman over for 7 months, getting smashed in the face with canes every night. You know what I mean? And then I did the stuff with Sabu where I lost every night and was putting through tables and stuff. You know, and then I did other stuff with Dreamer every night where I lose and get freaking, you know, dumped on my head and do all this, you know, like all that stuff. You know what I mean? Which is fine because I'm still out there and I'm still working hard and they're noticing that I can work. You know what I mean? Like
They're putting you with the main characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, now here's your shot, big boy. You know what I mean? Like you get to work with Punk for a little bit now. Sweet. You know what I mean? So we had some pretty good matches, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, dee, 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 dee. And then all of a sudden, it was like before we could even get running, Survivor Series, Super Kick, character, you know what I mean? Like, and then that was it for me, man. Like, they're like, well, shit, sorry, we just had you lose for the whole, you know, every show forever, and then like, sorry, we don't know what to do now. You're gonna have to just gonna have to sit at home for a minute, like, like shit.
I guess
you know.
it wasn't too long because you were on the December to Dismember pay-per-view, which fans have voted the worst pay-per-view of all time in the WWE. So you got some great things going for you on your resume. You
was
know?
it really the worst though?
Now I think that
okay.
I'll defend it for like 2 seconds because there's in that span of time you had Survivor Series. And then you had December to Dismember, then you had Armageddon. So you're expecting fans, you know, we'll say 16 to between 23 to pay. This is pay-per-views. This ain't Peacock. This is paying $40 to $50, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And you're not even choosing. It's Survivor Series, which is like a staple. You have Armageddon, what people enjoy, I guess. It's Christmas time. Maybe you can convince your parents to buy it for you for Christmas. But then you have a new brand, ECW. And you're like,
pretty much the best brand, if you ask me. But, you know.
no one's asking you, though. So
if I remember right, too, it was like we did it in a town. Was it like Macon, Georgia, or like Savannah or something like that? So it was like somewhere that's not a real hot spot for wrestling. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't know. I worked the Vampire.
Yep, Kevin Thorne.
Worked Vampire. It was a mixed tag, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and I remember like Arn was our agent or whatever, and I'm like, me and brother were like trying to get it together. We were running it past Arn. He's like, it doesn't matter what you guys do out there. We're like, what? They're like, they don't give a shit what you're doing. They came to see them girls roll around. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to forget everything you did. And so, like, of course, I'm like, you know, whatever, bro. I'll show you. Like, let's go, Kevin. I was like, let's go beat the dog shit out of each other. You know what I mean? Like, and we put in there and we went hard on each other. You know what I mean? Like, boom, boom, boom. Like, then all of a sudden, girls got in there, and guess what? They forgot we were even in that match. Damn, Arn. Why are you so smart?
Yeah, you and your damn years of expertise being the business. Be with Ric Flair, the Four Horsemen. You don't know shit. Okay, you know everything. Damn it.
Who the hell did you ever beat, man?
Yeah, who are you? Who are you? Oh, I realize that you are the enforcer of the Four Horsemen. You've been rolling with Ric Flair for 20 years, so I'm wrong. You're right. My bad.
So, what do you know, brother?
Yeah.
I'll show you. I'll have Kevin right in the mouth with that clothesline as hard as he can.
Yep. And then they just rolled around, and then suddenly they're going crazy. You're like, I got a black eye for like 4 weeks, but yet they just rolled around and like, damn.
My jaw's wired shut. Can't eat.
I'll show you, Arn. I'll show you with my sipping all my meals for the next 4 weeks.
I'm such a good wrestler.
But also that pay-per-view ended, I believe, a half an hour early because they didn't time it out right. They didn't have enough matches, I guess, on the card. They even sent Paul Heyman out to cut like a 20-minute promo just shitting on Extreme Wrestling and saying this is the death of Extreme Wrestling. We're going to move forward and be something completely different, which ended up being ECW eventually turned into NXT, which I don't think a lot of people even know that.
It did. Yeah, sure did.
So
it was what was going on at that point? Because Deep South was out of there. Right, they just shut Deep South down.
Yeah, they were closing a lot of stuff down too. I think because ECW, had Florida, FCW, you had OVW, you had Deep South. Like they had a lot of places, but then they just kept slowly, just shutting down and using ECW as the place to introduce new people, like a Kofi Kingston or Evan Bourne or Zack Ryder.
Both of their first matches, dude.
Which one?
I was both of their first matches.
Well, there you go. Did you win or lose?
What do you think?
I'm going to take a wild guess and move on.
I don't think I did. Maybe I did. I don't know. I can't remember. I was just pretend I lose. So
let's pretend, because most likely, if you were fighting their first match on a show, I'm guessing you lost.
I'm thinking Man, I think was that the one when Kofi knocked me out?
Oh
Maybe.
Jesus! You can't remember because you were knocked out.
Oh, you know what? How about this? I think Kofi beat me, but I think I beat Evan.
Oh wow!
And then I wrestled Evan the next week and let him beat me.
You let him.
Of course. When I win, it's when I win, it's real, and when I lose, it's fake, right?
Of course, I know. How stupid of me. I apologize, Mr. Lance.